This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined today by Paul Davis. He is a member of the Riverside City Council, running for mayor of that city as well. And Riverside is actually known for having taken a case to the California Supreme Court. And the case looked at whether cities under Prop 215 could, as a matter of land use, decline to allow dispensaries in their city limits. What happened there?
Well, what had happened was that when the law was passed in 1986, or 96,
yeah.
Pardon me, and so soon after, you've seen little dispensaries popping up throughout the county and cities. Our city is not indifferent to the size that we are. We had many pop up, and they were in really strange locations by and large. We had some of them that were in commercial zones. However, we took the position of as a no tolerance on the drug cases and so forth, including marijuana. It is still a Schedule 1 under federal, and our constituency told us we don't want it. And so we took the case to the state Supreme Court, which ruled in our favor based on our land use. We can use our land use authority as a local right to be able to regulate where and when they'll be placed. At this particular point, we have 0 that are legally in our city of Riverside.
But we know that there may be a few floating around.
Oh yeah, I'm made of one, aware of one yesterday.
Let me ask you though, I understand that marijuana is under Schedule 1 under federal law.
Yes, it is.
But let's face the facts. The current administration has said they are not going to prosecute under Schedule 1 violations. And there are many folks who believe that marijuana provides them relief. And you know, this is Riverside.
Yes.
You know, it's a large city, 300,000 people. Should you not offer your residents the ability to acquire what they believe is medicine with at least one dispensary?
Right. Well, I believe that we have a compassionate requirement, and so we've had those discussions just recently at the City Council, where in that there is no political movement to allow a dispensary, although one of the members brought that forward, and we will have that discussion. Whether it be 1 or 2 or 3, we don't know. However, we recently had the commercial growing discussion.
And I want to talk about that, because
that is an important factor for quality of life.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I digress. I remember a couple of years ago, I was looking to buy a home, and I could see from the deck of the home that I was looking to buy the backyard next door, and there were marijuana plants in the backyard. And I turned to the realtor. I said, "What's going on?" It was only 2 plants. And the realtor said, "Well, they have a license to grow 2 plants.
Right.
Okay, 2 plants.
Right.
In Riverside, there are houses that have how many plants?
Well, in my neighborhood, we have one that has between 400 and 600 plants.
I must ask you, can you smell the marijuana? Remember, it's not being burned, but still the plant is fairly fragrant.
Right. In this particular case, is when the police department went over there, it's considered or called skunk weed.
Okay.
And so imagine having 600 skunks centralized in one location in a neighborhood. So as you get the prevailing winds that happen quite often here in our city, you can smell it throughout the city.
I'm wondering if
the neighbors next to it, though, it just has their quality of life is just completely gone.
And I wonder if it actually can cause intoxication. I mean, if there's...
I don't know about
that. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a land use question, I presume.
Not only is it a land use, it's also, again, quality of life. We have a responsibility to protect the quality of life. Also, property values and use of property. It's really a case of rights. Who's more important, the person who's growing that or the person who lives next door within the general vicinity?
So what can the city do? Do you use that California Supreme Court case to allow you to, as a matter of land use, disallow growing of marijuana?
Well, you can, but recently the governor passed the assembly bills, which allows us by March 1st to be able to come up with policies, including growing in non-commercial areas or a complete ban if we choose to do so.
And you chose?
Recently, we just chose to direct our city attorney to, and this is an elongated discussion, to allow for per parcel, now that's a key, per parcel up to 6 marijuana plants for personal use for medical marijuana only.
So one could argue that's compassionate.
Yes.
One could argue, you know, if one believes that marijuana is of benefit to them in terms of their mental or physical health, whatever it may be.
That's right. And we do have that responsibility.
Right.
I do agree that medical marijuana or marijuana in general does have a medicinal use.
Right.
I'm from personal experience with my grandfather and cancer and all
okay.
that. And so I do believe that it has significant value. However, we have to be responsible about it.
Right.
And not only responsible to the people who are using the medicines,
Right.
if you want to refer to it as
Right.
that, also to the responsible of the residents who have to be in that
600
area.
plants.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
I mean,
matter of fact,
yeah.
we have as many as 40 plus similar types sites within our city.
You wouldn't have tobacco growing that way. I mean, tobacco grows in fields.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look,
Right.
let's not be rude here. Go buy a field and, grow it, but you don't do it in a home.
Right. And some of the things that we're doing is that you will only, at this point in time now, this is subject to change because we're going to have some more discussion through our planning commission and back to the council, grow indoor only at this point in time. You are not permitted to grow in multi-housing situations, such as apartments and so forth. You cannot grow within that the type of an environment. And I'm sure there are a few other nuances that will come out of the final decision, which will be the first part of January. The council will receive this back for a solid policy going forward so that we can have it in place by March 1st of 2016.
To be continued indeed. I want to shift gears, if we may, and talk about ballot initiatives likely to be before the voters in November 2016.
Yes.
3 of which I understand will legalize the recreational use of marijuana.
Yes.
We know that in other states in the union, red states, purple states, blue states, we have seen marijuana legalized.
Right.
I'm no, political scientist, although I pretend to play one on TV. If I had to guess what California voters will say in November 2016 about the legalization of marijuana, they will vote yes. Is Riverside ready?
Well, I don't think you're ever going to be ready for something of this nature. Riverside, by and large, we just recently had a Measure A that was defeated, which the collectives wanted to have a per capita number of assigned... that
was a local measure.
Exactly, assigned collectives, and it was defeated rather soundly.
Right.
However, in this case, this is a larger voter pool, and so it depends on how the 3 are written within the language, the amendments that have been introduced and changed, and depends on which one. All 3 may pass, and as you know, if all 3 pass, the highest voter is it becomes the law.
It was like Prop 8, Prop 13, I remember that back in 78.
I think that it really poses challenges. I don't know if the community, either Riverside or any community throughout the state, and certainly the country, Denver's having issues, Washington, being saddled, they're having issues. We can certainly learn from and use things that they've learned, and we can adopt as best practices, should that be the case.
Is it worth to go back to the 1930s when Prohibition was eliminated? I mean, is that instructive? No, we need to deal with 21st century models?
You're not going to defeat this. We have experienced that. I understand your heavier drugs, and maybe this is the path, as some scholars will have studied.
But some thought alcohol was the path.
Right. So, and there's the argument that can be made about alcohol and marijuana and so forth. However, I think we're in a growing period, not only as a city, but a state and a country, and to look at the views differently. And how are we utilizing, you talked about Prohibition and how well that worked. It absolutely did not.
Yeah, not so much.
You have such a wide black market which encourages growing from outside and smuggling through it to the inside of the United States in this black market. Can we control it? We don't know. I can tell you, I don't think that marijuana can really be controlled because it can be easily grown anywhere.
Right.
And so how do you control it? This way we can expose it, I think, and put it out. I am not in favor of drugs. I don't think anyone really is. However, we've got to take a different approach.
Okay. His name is Paul Davis. He is a member of the Riverside City Council, candidate for mayor of Riverside. My name is Brad Pomerance. In the Inland Empire, this is Charter Local Edition.